Hello, my name is Jeff Mann, and this lecture will be an introduction to utilitarianism. So utilitarianism is one of the two dominant theories of ethics, sometimes discussed as consequentialism, which says the morally right thing to do is that which brings about the best consequences. The most famous utilitarian, John Stuart Mill. Slightly less famous is another utilitarian, Jeremy Bentham. These are the two most well-known, but Mill is probably better known among most students of philosophy in Western culture. The language that is often used is that our actions should seek to create the greatest good for the greatest number. If you're taking notes, write that down. The greatest good for the greatest number. Also, sometimes people speak about trying to create the greatest happiness. And that's also good. But happiness here is about human flourishing or thriving or well-being, what the Greeks called eudaimonia, not just happy, squishy feelings. In either case, what you want to do is create a better world. So in discussing the death penalty, for example, a utilitarian may favor it if she believes it will reduce crime and or save money. Another utilitarian might oppose the death penalty if he believes that it won't reduce crime and or save money, but will undermine society's view of the sanctity of life, thus creating a worse consequence. So the concern here then is consequences. That's the one word that should pop into your head whenever you think of utilitarianism: consequences. Consequences. Okay, there are advantages to this type of ethical thinking. It's more flexible than those uptight deontologists. With utilitarianism, critical thinking can take precedence over simply following rules. And so utilitarianism appeals to people a lot. Intuitively, it feels right. And it's how we do a lot of our ethical thinking. Challenges with utilitarianism, or problems or concerns: there is sometimes the concern over the tyranny of the majority, where we just are concerned with the well-being of large numbers of people at the expense of smaller numbers of people. That is a real concern, but utilitarians have some good responses for that. The big challenge that we have with utilitarianism is simply this: we don't know the future. We're making predictions. So when we're trying to figure out what will achieve the greatest consequences, we don't know, and sometimes we're wrong. People sometimes think they know what will achieve the greatest good for the greatest number, and they screw it up. People intend one goal and can sometimes achieve the opposite. When President Obama was talking about gun control and spoke out against AR-15s, he likely put a lot more of them out on the street because people were snatching them up for fear that they'd be removed from sale. And when President Trump took a hard line on illegal immigration, he likely increased the number of folks sneaking across the border because people decided to come before increased security was put in place. Notice the bipartisanship. Okay, there have been plenty of cases where we are guessing at the consequences of our actions, and it's not clear what will achieve the greatest good for the greatest number. Some people want to help the poor by increasing the minimum wage. Other people want to help the poor by not increasing it for fear it will price people out of the job market. Is giving money to someone begging on the street good or bad? Does affirmative action help women and minorities or hurt them? Is there ever a point when riots are morally acceptable or even desirable? Well, what are the relative consequences? So while we can't predict the future, we can make more or less informed decisions. What to do with the minimum wage? Study economics. Does rioting do more good or harm? Study history. Is violence that human beings engage in due more to genetics or environment so that we know how to reduce it? Well, study human evolution and psychology. In other words, get a liberal arts education. Oh, and while I have you here, Mill has something else very important that he discusses that does connect with utilitarianism, and I want to share this. It's one of my all-time favorite quotes. Mill says, he who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. His reasons may be good, and no one may have been able to refute them. But if he is equally unable to refute the reasons on the opposite side, if he does not so much as know what they are, he has no ground for preferring either opinion. Nor is it enough that he should hear the opinions of adversaries from his own teachers, presented as they state them, and accompanied by what they offer as refutations. He must be able to hear them from persons who actually believe them. He must know them in their most plausible and persuasive form. So if you think you know what will make the world a better place and are ready to act on it, great. If you find that other people disagree with you, it may not be because they don't care about making the world a better place. It may be that they simply believe there is a better way to achieve it. It would be intellectually dishonest for you to reject their view without first hearing it. And it would be morally dishonest to conclude that you are a better person for favoring one approach over another. So educate yourself first and then make a decision, recognizing that people of goodwill and intelligence often disagree. Thank you.